Today we'll be looking at World War II and the home front. So what's going on in the United States of America during World War II? Remember, at the beginning of World War II, the United States was still going through the Great Depression. World War II ended the Great Depression in the United States. The War Production Board guided industrial production of weapons. This increased industrial production led to more jobs, which ended the Great Depression. Because so many young men went to fight overseas, factories began to hire more women and minorities.
There were many more women in the workplace during World War II in America. Women took jobs that before had been considered only for men, like working in factories, shipyards, and offices. The U.S. government had to persuade many factory owners and even husbands that their wife or a woman could work in a factory just as hard as a man. And so a famous poster with a character, Rosie the Riveter, celebrated the fact that women could help to win the war. So you can see here on the left is the famous Rosie the Riveter poster saying we can do it. Again, the government's propaganda saying that women can indeed help win the war. And you can see pictures on the right of women working in the factories to help build the materials that would help America win World War II.
Another great migration is described when more than 1 million African Americans migrated from the South to the Midwest and Pacific coast to find work in factories. This caused racial tensions in the United States. A. Philip Randolph convinced President Roosevelt to outlaw job discrimination in defense industries during World War II.
There was also a program the U.S. government created called the Bracero Program. In this program, thousands of Mexicans were asked by U.S. government to work on U.S. farms under something called the Bracero Program. By 1945, 120,000 braceros worked on farms throughout the country. And here's a photograph. The government would actually send down trains into Mexico to pick up workers to come work on the farms because, again, so many young men were overseas fighting in the war. The U.S. government needed workers to come and work these vital industries.
Rationing. War needs meant government involvement in the lives of everyday Americans. The military needed many types of materials to fight in the war. As a result, items such as steel, rubber, gas, meat, leather, and even sugar were in short supply at home. Families received a fixed amount of scarce items under a system of rationing. So basically what would happen is a family would receive a booklet like this, and it would tell them how much of a certain product they could buy in a given week, month, or year. You'd have to take your booklet with you when you went to the store in order to purchase whatever good you were trying to buy. So overall, this led to a reduction in the amount of things people were buying in the United States so that they could conserve for the war effort.
Some more example of government propaganda posters to encourage people to do things at the home front to help win the war. On the left, you've got posters saying, "Your victory garden counts more than ever." So again, to encourage conserving food and saving some for the troops. You had people growing their own vegetables. This also cut down on the amount of gas people used. They wouldn't have to drive to the store to buy vegetables. And on the right, a poster saying women farmers can't grow all your vegetables, so dig for victory. Again, you must grow your own. So the government was trying to encourage people to take part in the war effort, to feel a part of it. Even if they weren't abroad fighting, they were still doing something to help win the war.
Propaganda posters like these were used to promote conservation or a general feeling where Americans would use less resources at home. In this propaganda poster, it says, "When you ride alone, you ride with Hitler. Join a car-sharing club today." The poster saying that if you drive by yourself, you're using fuel that will help Americans, and that hurts the war effort. Overall, the government was trying to promote Americans to conserve resources on the home front.